Welcome to Colorful Journeys of Success. Listen to and watch our fascinating guests as they share colorful stories of success and how they help inspire. Now, here's Claire, the color wheeling lady and our host.
Welcome to Colorful Journey of Success. I'm so glad that you joined us because we have a fantastic show tonight. We're going to be talking about the magic of Feng Shui. The magic of Feng Shui. Well, wait till you hear. I happen to have an absolutely fantastic guest. She's a master of Feng Shui. Don't ask me. We're going to ask her. She's going to be the master, and she's going to share with us all the secrets. So, thank you so much, Ayalita Lido, right?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Well, you're a fascinating person. You are from Latvia. I've never been there. I have no idea what it's like, but I think that just makes you even more interesting.
Thank you for having me here. I'm very, very happy to again visit and
yes.
And continue our relationship and continue our, let's say, a friendship and
yes.
professional friendship as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I want you to share with our guests tonight, or with our audience tonight, what you know. First of all, a little bit about your background. You know, you studied what in college?
Yeah. So, well, I'm originally from Latvia.
Okay.
And my initial studies were physics, mathematics. I always loved science, and I absolutely loved numbers. Mm-hmm. And also, my heart and desires always about the design and kind of clothes and design as well. Mm-hmm. But in the college, there was more physics, mathematics with the teaching experience. Mm-hmm. Well,
so what did you want to be, a teacher, or what did you, a scientist, or what?
That was more about teaching.
About teaching.
Yes, but life changes in the post-Soviet Union and Latvia getting its independence, mm-hmm. and had the opportunity in the 90s, early 90s, to travel the world and live abroad.
Now that's a success.
Yeah, well, I think if I would say, almost 30 years ago, I would not have a conversation in English. And yeah, so always is traveling and adapting and seeing different cultures, seeing different environments, mm-hmm. Analyzing, feeling it. So it was all part of my experience.
And it all adds to your growth as a master in Feng Shui, right?
Absolutely, because we correlate on our past experience. There's something that we embed in our in the self through our five senses. Mm-hmm. And that's very common to anybody. And as you know, you can go into places and say, oh, I feel wonderful. And then there you can go places and say, oh, this is strange, or this doesn't feel right, let's move. Mm-hmm. Let's move fast. So that's how we tune ourselves into the space and read it and using our abilities.
I'm kind of curious, does intuition fall into this at all?
Well, I think the definition of master, what's the master of Feng Shui, answers that the best. Mm-hmm. You can have a wisdom, you can have experience, you can have knowledge, mm-hmm. and you have intuition. Mm-hmm. And when you apply your experience, when you apply your technique, or when you apply in the consultation, and you really don't clearly see which part is by rule, which part is by book, which mm-hmm. part is by intuition, which part is by experience, mm-hmm. but you blend and synthesize, mm-hmm. I think that's the mastery of the art.
Mastery, yes. It certainly makes sense. It definitely makes sense. Actually, well, continue. So your success story went from college and studying and everything around the world, and so then where next?
Well, I think if we correlate directly to why Feng Shui and how come the blonde, blue-eyed girl that doesn't even have an Asian heritage practices Feng Shui. Mm-hmm. And I was very fortunate through the unfortunate situation when I was seeking for help. I became the apprentice to the renowned Feng Shui master here locally in Milpitas, a gentleman called Don Juan Tong. Mm-hmm. And that actually was a true beginning of my passion and talent. So he was your mentor? He was my original mentor and inspiration, in the sense that were teaching me directly, mm-hmm. and kind of also pulled me out from the career that I was not really, my heart was not to it, and Feng Shui was always part of my life, and it was extensive studies. So he was the one who kind of determined my journey.
Wonderful. So it was meant to be.
It meant to be.
It was, you know, there was a reason why you met and you connected.
Absolutely.
And so he was the one that was taking you step by step by step. What was the experience like when you first met him?
Well, I was seeking for help myself, and that was almost 10 years ago. And because I thought that I'd done something in my house.
Oh, I see.
And I was like, I need help, and I was kind of verifying. And when I first time was crossing and meeting him, he just pointed at me and said, I teach you Feng Shui. And I was just in seventh heaven.
So he had a feeling.
He had a feeling, he had a knowledge, and we talked about it, and sometimes there is unknown, unseen forces that sometimes guide you or give you that kind of force, or we sometimes don't know. But
it's more than a talent, actually.
It's more than a talent. There is the chi. We call it, I think there was the right point of the energy, cohesive energy experience of him seeing the pool of knowledge and experience that already I had, and maybe also the view that my application and my kind of way of interpreting things. So it was very
interesting, very, very fascinating. I really do believe that there's something magic about it. I think maybe that seems kind of silly in a way, but the change creates success. Do you believe that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think when we, with Feng Shui in my practice, any time when I work with a client and when we have a vision that what would you like to achieve, what is the next step, and identifying the present moment, we're like really analyzing and seeing the current situation, either in the space, in the environment, in a mindset, in what the heart sets, or anything that's, we are in the consistently in the changing aspect of things and adaptation. So making ourselves back to balance.
So what is is it Bagua? That is a term, that is a format, or what do you call it? Explain that.
Well, there's a lot of tools, and there's several schools and a lot of tools. So what I practice is I'm classically trained Feng Shui master, and I coordinate my work through directionality, physical directionality, physical environment. So just a simple grid line is not enough to connect the client with its own space. A very important aspect is my practice is also reading and understanding the Chinese astrology. And as it historically always been, that's why the art has been called geomancy, is when you have the Feng Shui and astrology integrated and interpreted and personalized to every individual. Because as you know, your house, you set it up a certain way. If I move into the same space, I'll do my way.
Yes,
I'll do my way,
exactly.
right?
So it's not really magic. There is actually, it's a science.
It's definitely a science, and this is the something what I like about, because there's a patterns. The same way, like we're not surprised that sun rises in the east and sets in the west every single day.
That's what I've heard.
Well, the same patterns are embedded. We are like, as a human, if we take our human life, it's just such a short cycle out of this like cosmic, you know, vast energy pool that we're trying to, you know, kind of make it important, and but at the same time we are part of the bigger cycles in a continuous change as a humanity. So we're going with the flow. And the one thing that chi is not a thing. Chi is everything, at the same time nothing.
Right. So, all right. So, well, let's talk a little bit more about what are the different types of Feng Shui, or or maybe type, what is the word? There's classical Feng Shui, and then there's, what are the different?
There's different schools.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
So there's a Western school that bases the, and I think it's very popular and very popular in the West, especially in the U.S. as well. And I'm very aware of it. There's also Watsu system in Indian culture. I think that we have to look back at the origination. And origination of the Feng Shui can go beyond the imperial China. We can look at the nomadic lifestyle, a continuous movement and continuous setup in a dwelling, continuous survival. And picking up the, just think about nomadic lifestyle is that you are setting up the temporarily dwelling that would support the time frame. So it's very important.
Okay. Well, I think that we can, it's also fascinating, but let's kind of like bring it back home where people can connect. Let's talk about what you did. And this is a perfect example. I love it, I love it, I love it. So why don't you share share with our audience what you did to my bedroom?
Well, it's been a
perfect example.
It's been a perfect example, and I think knowing you for the last 3 years, we came a long way.
Yes, we certainly have.
Right. So
actually, in that process, you started with my home, and after that, I was able to actually start a business.
Absolutely. It's again another success story for you. It works.
Yes, it does. It's a success story because you helped me.
Thank you.
You helped me succeed, and that's what Colorful Journeys of Success, the television show, is about. Colorful Journey of Success, because the person who is successful then helps other people succeed, and then it continues. So thank you very much, because I've been successful with the Airbnb business. Thanks to you. Well,
if you can recall our first meeting and the first I learned who you are. That's our really seeing who lives in the space first. It's a human chi. So we always, as a practitioners, we always think in 3 plateaus. Human chi, just the energy or your being in the space. We talk about earth chi. That's why it's very important for me to visit your space and walk it through and see the potentiality and identify those. So I always focus on all the positive aspects. And your house, as we know, it matches you, right? It's in alignment with your Chinese astrology, and it was very interesting to notice that the areas that we lacking the energy was stuck or cluttered. The other 2 bedrooms that were not kind of neglected because you were focusing, you kind of was not using. But as you remember, those are one of the most important areas from the directionality and the support system. So in your situation, that we also took like a gradual step-by-step process. And that's what I love. I love the flexibility. It depends on the client. You know, sometimes the client is ready to go instantly. Sometimes the life situation that does not allow you to, move, but it's timely for you, and you are the most important person who I correlate to things. And so, what's kind of like step by step, share with the audience what you did. Well, you did not see all the hours of analyzing and drawing and figuring out. Is really was my job, was to reestablish the energy flow in your space that would absolutely, completely support you at any level. Interesting. At any level. So that's where you brought in the charts and things like that? Right. Because now my binder's that thick. More reading and materials for the yes. Yes, that's very, the individual analysis, where you are in your lifetime, what are your intentions, clarifying your goals, seeing the potential and finding that potential within your own space was very important. Yes. And as you know, my primarily kind of focus was your health, to support and maximize and improve your sleep. and that's especially, it was last visit.
Oh, I see.
All
Yes.
the changes, because all the
Yes.
changes we did was about to free up the energy, to make it more, so that you can exercise in your room.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
Clearing up that also the view, what you see when you wake up in the morning. What is your that image, what you connect. The connectedness to your family, to your daughter, you know, setting up the artwork.
Yes.
So there's so many nuances that I kind of would say like thought through and try to implement it, hopefully in a gentle way, the best I could.
The difference between an organizer and a Feng Shui master, there's a huge, huge difference, because sometimes people think of a Feng Shui master as an organizer. And yes, you organize, but it's more than that.
It is more than that. And that's
Far more than that.
I hope that's what you're noticing. I believe any time I set a system and find the place appropriately where the items go, where the things, where they should be, from the practicality point of view, from effectiveness of like what is your lifestyle and how you approach certain things, very important. And it's not about decluttering and cleaning. It's actually setting up the system that works for you and is applicable and very easily implemented in the space. And that's why it works forever. I think the setup now should last you a very long time.
Yes. And it was, I think after you left, then I realized that there were some things that I needed to take care of also. But I needed a handyman to actually come in and make some changes, improvements.
Yeah.
And so it's all come together beautifully.
Good.
It really has come in together.
Wonderful. Did you sleep better?
I sleep better, and I sleep a little bit longer. Because for a very long time, I'd wake up 3 and 4 in the morning. But actually, that was kind of exciting for me, because that's when I'd start writing. And I think that the mind, if the mind is rested, you can be far more creative.
Absolutely.
And so my habit was that I'd wake up 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'd pull up my writing pad and start writing, actually in the dark. So I developed a way to write in the dark. And my mind was, I couldn't see anything visual which would distract my thoughts. I don't know whether you ever saw that, but...
No, but I see that there's the more, I think by organizing and opening up the window area, especially your passage to the window, was, I believe, from the images that you will see, is the best aspect to kind of feeling that openness and clarity and manifestation of the... Yeah.
And it's interesting, because when we were talking about making the changes before, I didn't have to necessarily go out and buy new furniture.
No.
We just took what was there and rearranged it, and maybe replaced a few items. But some people might think that you have to buy all new furniture, right?
Rule number 1, if anybody is inspired or needs help and ready to do the tidying up, rule number 1 is not to buy anything new yet.
Good point.
First thing you do is sort and discard and get rid of things that are not serve you anymore. It's just really to kind of almost like group things, you know, clothing, identifying the books, identifying magazines, you know, categorized. And then really have a conversation, have fun with each of the items. Do you remember your sewing machine, your passion of your success in the past?
Yes.
And did not move for 3 years. From the, we had to make the space. It was not serving you any longer in the bedroom, right?
That's right.
But we had a nice conversation, and I think that that type of relationship that you have and the memories that you have, you were able to bundle them up. That they were not a burden in the bedroom space. It just gives you new opportunities.
Right. And what was so amazing to me was that you were able to, you were strong enough to move some of those.
Well, we always use help, right? We always use help.
But it was wonderful that you were able to not only guide the process, absolutely guide the process, but then also physically move some things where I would not even have thought of. So.
Well, we have a team, so.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of like our lives keep changing, which is good, which is wonderful. We wouldn't want to stay the same from a very young age. We want to keep changing, And if we keep changing, though, we may change in the wrong direction. So having the Feng Shui, from my perspective, is the guided change.
Guided change. And supportive. Supportive,
Yes.
because that's, you utilize all the supportive elements from your own living space.
So, okay, we have about 5 minutes left. Let's talk very briefly some real quick tips. How does a person get started?
Easy, any person can contact.
Now people are listening to this conversation, so I want them to learn to be able to say, "Oh, geez, that sounds so interesting." They just make a telephone call and call you up, right?
Yes, they can find me on social media on the Feng Shui Ayalita, or my website www.ayalitalito.com. Also, just simply by phone call. I work in the Greater Bay Area. I also work nationwide. Using internet is great. I do consultations also overseas.
Perfect.
So fairly mobile and traveling around as well. And yeah, set at the initial consultation, have a phone, and they fill out the form. It's very simple, very easy, but gives me a lot of information to prepare.
Okay, and the first initial consultation is when you start getting to know them and then creating the bagua?
That's all done before.
That's all part of the process?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All the calculations done. I'll come prepared.
That's wonderful. Now, some people also would ask maybe about, well, I've heard that by placing mirrors certain places and fountains or water and the elements.
The Feng Shui, what I practice is you have to view those elements in correlating to the larger natural forces. If we're placing the fountain, we also think about oceans and rivers. If we play in the gardens, we also think about sierras and woods and mountains. So when we have that type of understanding, then the individual approach is always required. And that's why I think the Feng Shui as its tools, with its like vast amount of tools that we can use, is always bring the precision, in a sense, where the things need to be placed.
So there's, if say for example you have the your bedroom in this end of the house, and maybe that end of the house is not as.
For certain areas, it's
I don't
not
know what
appropriate.
the terms are.
No, there's the certain elements are appropriate for the entryway, but not every element is supported. But say you can put the fountain in the south, but you know it's not going to be very effective, because it's going to in Arizona, for example, in the sun it's going to really dry out, right?
Okay. Well, oh geez, we could talk on and on.
I know.
I mean, there's just no end to this conversation, and I know the 30 minutes goes so fast, and we have a couple of minutes, so. I want to thank you, and you mentioned, or you did not mention yet, about this book that you used.
Yes.
1 minute.
Okay. As I said, in my practice for decluttering and tidying up, I'm very, very fond of Marie Kondo. So she's a Japanese organizer and very famous, and those who would like to learn a little bit more or apply her technique, I highly recommend, because that's what the technique I apply in my practice.
The name of the book is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up.
Yes.
I like it. I love it. I love it. So.
And you don't have to get the hard copy. You can also have an e-book.
Oh, well that's good to know. That's good to know. Okay. Do you have any question for me?
When we're next time meeting?
No. Where are we taking that? Oh, I have some other ideas too. So,
good.
Yeah, this has been wonderful. It's been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you for having me.
Colorful Journey of Success. It's all about our success and who are we helping succeed. So this is wonderful. So thank you so much for joining Colorful Journey of Success. We had a wonderful conversation about the magic. I think it's magic, the magic of Feng Shui, but she calls it the science. She's probably right. So if you'd like to be interviewed, I would love to talk to you. Contact me, Claire Mullen, and we can talk and discuss what would you like to talk about. So again, thank you for joining Colorful Journey of Success, and I hope you have an absolutely fantastically successful life forever. Bye for now.